back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got how an undersized safety proved everyone wrong. Let's check
Tyrann
this
Mathieu's
out.
journey to the NFL was a roller coaster. From his tough upbringing in New Orleans to his time as a college student at LSU and almost throwing it all away before his junior year, Mathieu's ride to the league was tougher and wilder than most. But once he was drafted in 2013, he proved straight away that he belonged at the top table and showed everyone just how good he had always been. As he enters his 13th year as a pro, let's take a look at the life
he's retired now,
of an undersized 5'9" safety
I think Marco
who made his mark on pro
football
forever. Tyrann Mathieu was born in New Orleans, Louisiana on May 13, 1992. Like so many young boys in the South, he dreamed from an early age about playing pro football. But the difficulties he suffered as a youngster made his success story more remarkable than most. Throughout his childhood, neither of his parents were present in his life. His mother abandoned him when he was a child, which understandably left a big mark on Mathieu throughout his childhood and beyond. His father, on the other hand, was imprisoned for murder in the early 90s and spent the vast majority of Mathieu's life in state prison. As a result, the young Mathieu's childhood was anything but easy. In a city like New Orleans, one of America's most violent, making the best out of your life is always
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like,
especially
usually when both parents are not in a kid's life, bro, that's gonna lead them down the wrong path. But he did something with his life and became one of the best safeties in the NFL, bro. Like, that shit is crazy.
Without parental guidance. In their absence, Mathieu was raised by his grandparents, who took it upon themselves to give him the best possible chance in a life that was already so challenging. Mathieu has spoken in the past about his grandmother and how important she has been to him as a leadership figure in his life. She would continue to play a role in his life even after tragedy struck again in 1997 when his grandfather sadly passed away. At this point, Mathieu was adopted by his aunt and uncle, who were not wealthy themselves, but did all they could for their nephew, who in his early childhood began to show he had a real talent on the athletics track as well as on the gridiron. Mathieu attended St. Augustine High School in New Orleans, a Catholic, historically black school with a strong tradition of football, having lifted 3 Louisiana state championships. With the difficulties that he had faced throughout his early life, his time playing sports were a great opportunity for him to forget all of his difficulties. His time playing sports were a great opportunity for him to forget all of his difficulties for a short spell of time and focus on something he truly excelled at. However, in August 2005, life for Mathieu and the rest of the city was about to get really hard, really fast. Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans, as well as much of the South, and once again, Mathieu's life was ripped apart, with the effects of the hurricane leaving him and his family homeless in the immediate aftermath of the storm. His school was also damaged severely, with St. Augustine's requiring millions of dollars worth of repairs and having to merge with 3 other schools in the region to stay operational, following one of the worst crises in American history. By the age of 13, Mathieu had faced a life without his biological parents, the death of his grandfather, a once-in-a-generation natural disaster, and now homelessness. But yet, despite all of this, he showed an incredible amount of resilience that most adults would struggle to muster, and got back to being the best football player he possibly could be. By the time of his senior year in high school, Mathieu was a standout performer at defensive back, recording 32 tackles and 5 interceptions, becoming not only one of the best high school players in Louisiana, but in the nation as a whole. Rivals.com ranked him as the 13th best cornerback in the USA, which, in retrospect, was far too low. Many coaches were impressed by Mathieu's speed and athleticism, but there was a real belief that at just 5'9", 186 pounds, he would be too small to be
5'9"? Oh my lord!
Truly dominant defensive back. Despite impressing in various training camps, including against future NFL star Jarvis Landry, there was still enough doubt about his size to make any major programs pass on him. A mistake.
He played bigger than 5'9".
After receiving several college offers, the Louisiana native ultimately chose to move just 80 miles west for college, going to LSU to play at Tiger Stadium. This would end up being a journey that would provide its own trials and tribulations and further shape the player and man that Mathieu is today. In his freshman year, Mathieu wasted no time in showing absolutely everyone why he is such a special talent at the position, and that being undersized really didn't matter. For a true freshman to start every game on an elite SEC roster is one thing, But to be a star performer on the 8th best team in college football was something else entirely. As a DB, he made 57 tackles and 9 tackles for loss, as well as forcing 5 fumbles in his freshman year.
Wow.
He played his part in victories over 5 ranked
opponents,
including a 24-21 win over defending national champions Alabama. The crowning moment of his 2010 season would come in the Cotton Bowl against Texas A&M, where he really put the league on notice. In a dominant individual performance, he would record 7 tackles, including 1 for loss, an interception, a sack, a fumble recovery, and 2 forced fumbles.
Damn, nigga, Swiss Army knife.
1-24 winners, with Matthew earning game MVP honors. However, this would just be a preview for his game-breaking 2011 season. In 2011, Matthew took his game to the next level and had one of the best college seasons ever seen from a defensive back. He marshaled an LSU defense which gave up just 11.8 points per game, dismantling so many of the SEC's best offenses along the way. Obviously, this wasn't just down to Matthew, as he shared a defense with future NFL players like Barkevious Mingo, Morris Claiborne, and Eric Reed. But there was absolutely no doubt that Matthew was the star of the show. As the year went on, it was clear that this was not just any undersized safety taking the field every week for LSU, but rather a generational talent with exceptional toughness and a willingness to do absolutely anything for his team. As a result of his tenacity and strength, Matthew was nicknamed the Honey Badger during the season, in reference to both his blonde hair and the fact that his playing style reminded many LSU fans of the carnivorous African mammal of the same name. Over the course of the season, he stood out not only as the best defensive back in college football, but the very best defensive player, earning the Chuck Bednarik Award thanks to his 76 tackles, including 8 for loss, 2 interceptions, 6 forced fumbles, and 2 defensive touchdowns.
Damn.
In fact, Matthew was so outstanding in that 2011 season that he even finished 5th in Heisman voting, managing to snag first overall.
Why did he stop doing that?
He even finished 5th in Heisman.
Why did he stop doing top 5? They just do top 4 now.
Managing to snag first overall votes from the likes of Robert Griffin III and Andrew Luck. As for team success, his excellence helped lead LSU to victory in the SEC championship game, where Matthew was game MVP, setting up a national title game against Alabama. However, that would prove a bridge too far for the Tigers, with the offense failing to show up and Alabama coming away with a 21-0 victory. But this was a superb LSU
Roll Tide.
And with Matthew coming back for his junior season in 2012, they would have another shot at being national champs right away. Sadly, no. In August 2012, Matthew was dismissed from the LSU football team as a result of violating team rules. This was later revealed to be due to drug-related issues, and Matthew would be arrested for possession of marijuana.
Oh, I think I remember seeing this clip.
His involvement in college football and throwing his on- and off-field future into serious jeopardy. In the space of a few short months, Matthew had gone from being the very best defender in college football and a guaranteed early first-round pick in the draft to being off the team entirely, and without any guarantee that he would be playing at the pro level at all. This was a different kind of obstacle for Matthew, as he had to deal with the consequences of his own actions and acknowledge that he had let down his coaches, teammates, and the school at large. Thankfully, he was not prepared to give up, and announced that he would enter the 2013 NFL Draft after sitting out the entire 2012 college season. Of course, opinions were divided on selecting Matthew for a number of reasons. Some had concerns about his character and were worried that he could fail further drug tests in the future and be a distraction for the team. Others simply
he got drafted by was it the Cardinals or the Texans?
Full season of
it was one of them,
falling behind other developers.
I think it was the Cardinals.
By the time the draft rolled around, it was clear that Matthew wasn't going in the early first round, as he appeared destined to pre-suspension. With teams not willing to risk an earlier selection on him, it took until the beginning of the third before the Arizona Cardinals called his name with the 69th overall pick. Through his slide down the draft board, Matthew had likely cost himself millions of dollars on his rookie contract, but much more importantly, he had been given a second chance, with head coach Bruce Arians believing that Matthew would put his previous issues behind him and become a dominant force in Arizona. As we all now know, Arians had bet on the right guy.
Years, bro.
Matthew's life and career at this point has been defined by his ability to overcome adversity and silence any doubters. years. Within a year, it was clear that Arizona had made the right call and that 31 other teams had missed out. In his first pro season, he started 11 games, recorded 2 picks, 9 passes defensed, and 6 tackles for loss, instantly becoming a key part of a top 10 Cardinals defense that made the playoffs. After a stop-start injury hit 2014, Matthew was at his very best the following campaign, playing a key role in a superb 13-3 Arizona team that went all the way to the NFC Championship game. Throughout that season, he set the standard at safety, recording 89 tackles, 11 for loss, and 5 interceptions, including 2 in one game, a 47-7 beatdown of the 49ers in Week 3. However, he would suffer an ACL injury in Week 15 against Philadelphia, ending his season prematurely and leaving his Cardinals shorthanded in the playoffs. They were eventually picked apart by Cam Newton's Carolina Panthers in the NFC Championship game. Nonetheless, Matthew was voted first-team All-Pro alongside Kansas City's Eric Berry for his efforts, becoming one of the league's top 2 safeties at the age of just 23. This would lead to a new contract extension for the 2016 season, but despite maintaining a high level of play himself, the Cardinals found success hard to come by, missing the playoffs in both 2016 and 2017. After he refused to take a pay cut for the following season, the team did the unthinkable and cut one of their star players.
Oh, they cut him?
With Matthew becoming a free agent for 2018.
Oh, I thought they traded,
After a solid 1-year stint in Houston, Matthew would sign a 3-year, $42 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019. The previous season, the Chiefs had made the AFC Championship game despite the league's second
this when he was in his prime right here, boy.
Some reinforcements in the secondary. Fast forward 12 months, and Matthew was a first-team All-Pro again, and he'd helped transform the Chiefs' passing defense into the 8th best in football. As a result, the Chiefs became Super Bowl 54 champions, their first title in 50 years. Matthew and the rest of his unit played their part in that, and this young kid from New Orleans spent that night in Miami on top of the pro football world, having beaten every obstacle he encountered. The following season, Matthew was superb again, returning to his all-pro form, but the Chiefs fell short in the Super Bowl, with only a certain Tom Brady and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers denying him a second championship. Matthew would follow this up in 2021 with another Pro Bowl season, but the Chiefs would suffer another playoff exit, this time to the Bengals in the championship game. At the end of the year, Matthew was let go by the Chiefs to the surprise of many, including himself. In his 3 years in KC, he'd proved to everyone that he was one of the very best in the business and cemented his legacy as a leader and a champion. For Matthew, though, there was only one place to go after leaving Kansas City. Tyrann Mathieu returned home to New Orleans in March 2022 and signed for the Saints. His extremely tough upbringing in the city had been a huge part of his story, and at the age of 30, it made sense for him to return to the state where he grew up and played both high school and college football. Matthew has now been a Saint for 3 years.
Didn't bro just restructure his contract too?
Important players on and off the field. He's still a commanding safety despite his size, and stands as a testament to his own resilience, as well as the spirit of the city he grew up in. At this point in his career, Matthew isn't quite the elite safety he used to be, but he's had a stellar pro career, which makes him likely to enter the Pro Football Hall of Fame when he finally hangs up his cleats. And after enduring so much, and being written off by so many, that would be a fitting reward for a man who spent his career proving everyone wrong. Do you think he deserves it? Let us know in the comments.
I think so. You know what I'm saying? I love these type of like underdog stories, bro. You know what I'm saying? Kids that came from nothing and then ended up being on top of the world, bro, in the NFL and stuff. Like, I love everything about that. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like he might definitely be a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna have to wait and see, because I think he definitely has, you know what I'm saying, the resume for it. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, bro, we're just gonna have to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna miss watching him play though. You know what I'm saying? He was one of my favorite safeties. You know what I'm saying? A few years ago. But hey, you know what I'm saying? Putting on for the little niggas, bro. I respect it. But hey, man, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm to react to. Without further ado, no.
I'm chosen. I'ma make them feel me. Make them people when they show me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen. I really know I'm chosen. I know don't trust me. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.